Hey everybody, it's Guy here. Just wanted to record a quick video for my friends and acquaintances on social media. It's Tuesday the 28th, 2023, and I just wanted to convey an idea from a high level today. And it is this. I wrote an article back, I think it was in 2020. In fact, I'm sure it was, called the Great Bifurcation. You can find that on my website, hypnosis.co. And I think as I fast forward, in the 2.5, 3 years since then, I would say that sadly, what I predicted in that article has come true. The world is bifurcating, and we're being pulled in two directions. There are two visions for humanity that we're being called to embrace. Let me describe those two visions, and you'll see where you fit on this. One vision is a vision of internationalists, globalists as they're sometimes called. In that vision, technology will be used to create an earthly utopia. It will be used to elevate humans into being godlike creatures. It promises that if our environment and if our bodies are saturated with technology, that is to say nanotech, little machines in our bloodstream, little smart dust technology covering surfaces, sprayed in the sky, put into our food, which some people say has already been done, and there's a lot of evidence for that. The idea is to have a technocracy, a scientific dictatorship. And the way the people promoting this in the form of 15-minute cities, smart cities, and so on, is that we could create a kind of earthly paradise if we just all consent to surrender our personal identification and our privacy and allow us to be surveilled with facial recognition cameras at stores and the kind of thing you see in China where they have CCTV cameras everywhere. And you have technology in you, you have 5G and other wireless and EMFs penetrating you, you have low orbit satellite systems monitoring and surveilling everything. Every plant, every head of cabbage, every lettuce, every cucumber has a QR code on it, a barcode. Everything is measured, shipped around. Everything's controlled by AI. This was the vision that they were talking about back in the 1920s, 30s, and 40s that Aldous Huxley warned us about, because his brother was one of these insiders among the Freemasons and these secret societies that have been planning this for generations. And Huxley tried to warn us about all the things that are happening now. And it's like I say, it's this, some people have called it the rise of the biosecurity state. And we had to be scared into it. A narrative had to be launched to condition us to go to the next level. To say, okay, the government can tell me how many people I can have in my home. It can tell me I can't visit my dying mother in the care home. I have to wear a mask. I have to distance myself from other people. A government authority, not only of my own nation, but an international body, can declare a state of emergency, and through international regulations can tell my government how we have to behave inside our own nation states and our neighborhoods and our homes. So we have that one vision pulling us in one direction. And this is the vision that the billionaire class has. Okay, being surveilled, everything measured, everything controlled. Ultimately, it's a view of shifting from Homo sapiens to Homo Borg Genesis. They think that they can not, to start with, they think they can perfect the human metabolism and endlessly repair it mechanically because they have a mechanical view of the world. And the ultimate goal would be to upload our consciousness, or their consciousness, because this trip is not for everybody, to upload the consciousness into a synthetic body that can live for hundreds or thousands of years. And if you can upload a consciousness into one robot body, conceivably you can upload it into another. And it looks like they're starting with a synthetic hybrid kind of a thing where we get injected with things that transform us into a combination of man and machine. So we're literally in a struggle for the soul of humanity and the future of our species. And this is not conspiracy. This is openly discussed by the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, Yuval Noah Harari, all the spokespeople, Bill Gates. This is the vision they have for the future. A very small elite and a much, much smaller global population living in tightly controlled cities. You'll notice that their plans specifically call for the elimination of airports. I think by 2030, there's only supposed to be something like 2 airports in all of the UK. And I think by 2050, there'll be no airports. Don't quote me on those exact dates and numbers. But the stated plan is we won't be flying anywhere. Now, how do you feel about that? And how do you feel about the rationalization for it, that it's to fight man-made climate change? I have an issue with that claim. On the other side, we have the other thing that's pulling us. And this is why I'm taking a permaculture certification course. This is why I am talking to people around the province of Ontario about setting up settlements, intentional communities, eco-communities, whatever you want to call them. Because the people who want to go to those places and grow their own food and raise their kids and homeschool them or set up wilderness schools or whatever you want to call them, we don't have to worry about the name. We want to grow our food because we want to know where it comes from. We want to know that it does not have mRNA sprayed on it, or vaccines sprayed on the lettuce. We don't want mRNA injected into food animals. Sorry, vegans for that term. But we want to know where our food comes from. We want to be able to generate our own power. If we have to purchase fuel, propane, electricity from outside our community, we want it to be a backup. We don't want it to be our main. We don't want to have to rely on centralized systems. So another way of saying what I'm saying is that there's one group of people that wants to massively centralize control and use the new AI technologies to achieve that control. And they've known for 100 years that this technology would arrive and that this day would come. And they're committed to their vision and they've been preparing for it. And they've invested, they have great faith in this vision and they've been taking concrete steps to put it into place. So it's not enough to oppose that vision that they have. We have to have our vision, and we have to be as committed to that vision as the other side is to theirs. And like them, we need to take action to implement our vision and attract the majority of human beings, or at least a huge number of people, to that vision. And this is where people in the freedom movement we need to step up our game, because it's time to move on from just sharing links on social media and videos on BitChute and links and memes to articles and such on Telegram. Those are all good things to do. I'm not saying we stop that. We still need to go back and talk to our elected officials and take back our governments at the local level and the municipal level and fight the corruption and set up real courts and all that stuff. Nothing I'm saying means that we don't do that. And we eventually have to bring the perpetrators to justice. But that's not enough. We can't just be about what we're opposed. We have to implement what Buckminster Fuller said, which is you don't defeat the old thing by criticizing it, you build the better thing and people come to it. So we have to envision that. I said in my last video, we need to organize teams, people with different skills, people who know how to farm, how to grow food, how to plant a garden, how to build a cabin, a house, how to set up solar installations, every aspect of this, how to set up a separate currency, a barter system, a local barter system. How to set it, what governance models do you follow? Do you use the Ubuntu, and what does that mean? I think there's going to be different styles and shapes and sizes of these eco-communities. And by the way, when I use the term eco-community, it's a bit contaminated because it doesn't have to be primarily about being environmental. You could organize it just around wanting to live in freedom. You could organize it around farming and agriculture. Maybe the people there wouldn't have all that much in common spiritually, but they're together for a bunch of other reasons. Maybe you'll have some where there's a very strong spiritual component, like they have in, say, Pachamama in Costa Rica, and there's a big theme of meditation and yoga and all these things you practice communally to keep your vibration high. I would like that to be a component of the community that I eventually settle in. But I don't necessarily want it to be a spiritual community with a capital S. But we'll see. I don't know. But anyway, that's what I wanted to convey, that we've got this bifurcation taking place. And there are going to be a lot of people who will accept digital IDs and central bank digital currencies, and they'll move into the cities and the 15-minute cities, and they'll think it's just a great thing. And it's going to take a while for them to realize the dark side of this and for us to educate them about it. And in the meantime, we've got to get busy. We've got to find each other. We've got to organize ourselves into communities, either because we're geographically close to each other, or we share the same values, or we have the same vision. And if there'll be some groups of people that'll go over there and they'll build what suits them, and others that go over here and they'll build what suits them. Some people will want to live in a forest. Some people will want to live on a farm. Some people will want to go to a tropical country to do this. Some people will go way up north because they want to be as far away from the cities as they can be as possible. Every one of these visions has pros and cons. I'm working on a permaculture design project right now as part of my course, and it's a real community. And there's a lot of challenges, even just in the housing. Do you do tiny homes, cabins, yurts? How do you heat the yurt? How do you have hot water? How do you have a shower? What kind of toilet do you use? There are lots of challenges, but I enjoy it, because we're moving toward freedom, and my wife and I might have to endure, spending a couple of winters in a yurt, and it may not be as warm as we want it to be, and we may not have hot water in there right away. Like who knows? But at least we'll be moving in the right direction. I'm not committed to living in a yurt, by the way. That might happen, it might not. But there's all kinds of possibilities. So I recorded this just to point my friends in the right direction of how I think we need to think about this. And now, from this point forward, a lot of my articles and videos will start to make sense to you, because you'll see that as I try to figure out what is right for myself and my wife, who I think are pretty typical in terms of our needs, that as we figure that out, we can share that with other people who will then say, hey, guy, I share your vision. I want to be considered for one of these communities that you're involved with, or that we might start our own or jump in with one that someone else has started. So that's a great bifurcation. Decide now what side you're on and start investing in the side that is going to be decentralized, that's going to be using crypto and precious metals and barter, and it's going to be living in intentional communities, is my recommendation. And start saying no and cut out of your life everything that makes you enslaved to that plantation that we have just found out we've been on for 100 years, and that is about to become an open air concentration camp. You want to see the future? Look at Israel and Palestine. Look at the Gaza Strip. That's how a lot of people are going to be living soon if we don't figure this out. Okay?